Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success Media, an award-winning show for professional women and men. Since 2014, we have provided a voice for entrepreneurs in the areas of business, marketing, advertising, public speaking, lifestyle and wellness coaching, arts and entertainment, fashion designing, interior and exterior designing, and sports. Our guest experts provide the latest information in their field while creating an educational resource for our listeners and viewers. Join us each Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. Now, let's go to the studio, where our session is already in progress with your show host, Mrs. Diane Winbush.
Women Who Rock with Success complies with the rules and terms according to the Federal Communications Commission podcast guidelines. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are their own, and their appearance on our digital media platforms does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. All guests who embrace our media stations are experts who are licensed in their fields of occupation. All rights reserved.
Good morning once again, and this is Ms. Diane Winbush, your host for Women Who Rock with Success Media. Thank you for tuning in with our third session on today on the media. And so on this particular segment, we will be talking to an interesting guest that will be sharing a lot with you about her brand and what she does and her career. So we welcome to the studio this morning Ms. Kathryn Smith. So good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So thank you once again for being with us. So tell us a little bit about you, Kathryn. Let the audience learn a little bit about you and about what you do.
Sure. So my name is Kathryn Smith. I am based outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I am the founder of a company called Walton Birch, which is a web development and digital marketing firm. I help entrepreneurs and small businesses show up credibly and professionally online with expertly built websites and marketing campaigns.
Okay, great. And so I guess tell us a little bit about what was kind of some of your passion, kind of what drove you to be able to want to help entrepreneurs in this area, because, you know, digital media is the top of the line or the scale today for businesses and professionals. So tell us a little bit about that. What kind of gave you that drive to want to be able to get into that field?
Absolutely. So when I became a full-time entrepreneur in 2019, I actually did not plan on being in this web space. I have an MBA in business analytics, and so I wanted to do marketing research and, you know, be behind the scenes and do big reports, kind of like a McKinsey or a Deloitte or, you know, Bain or something like that. But the pandemic had different plans, so I was about 6 months into business when the pandemic got really bad here in Georgia, and that made it really difficult to kind of network with the types of people who could help me, you know, with contracts and collaborate and do these projects that I wanted to do. And so just, you know, as a way to keep the business going, I fell back on web design, which is a skill that I've had since my days working with the Yellow Pages back in 2009. And through that, I actually discovered Shopify and helped a lot of people start new online stores, you know, for things that they were selling or things that they were making, which was really cool. And so through word of mouth, but also just the immense fulfillment of being able to help someone and to see and be familiar with the person that you're helping. You know, I got into the e-commerce website space. Yeah, I mean, it was just incredible because, you know, during the pandemic, I heard small businesses say that, you know, they thought that the government wanted them to fail, you know, when all the fiasco with the PPP and the EIDL programs were going on. Yeah, and so, you know, to be able to help small businesses like launch websites and launch stores and see growth during a time where there was so much uncertainty was incredibly fulfilling. And of course, word of mouth just helped my business grow from there. So we were kind of helping each other out. Like I never planned on being in websites or in e-commerce, but the pandemic kind of drove me into that space, but I was able to help people in that space as well. So I've kind of stayed there and Walton Birch has gotten bigger. It's not just me anymore. I have a small team of people now, but I'm still very much focused on helping entrepreneurs and small businesses show up credibly and professionally. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much for that. Because even with Shopify, e-commerce, and online marketing and what have you, that is becoming one of the biggest trends that I guess globally, I want to say, not just in the United States. This is a global movement where individuals, especially WordPress, at first, I think the first website that I may have created, and I do my own designs as well. And so the first one I created, it's good because you can get an opportunity to go in there and change, create, modify whenever you get ready. And so that's very, very important to me versus me having to send emails and send proposals out. Can you do this right here? I need you to change this. No, you don't need to dot this I. I can be able to do it myself and then also be able to track all of my analytics myself. So I think and I get a thrill out of it. I really do. I really love graphic designing, and especially as creating templates and whatever else. I just love it. And so with Shopify, we're going to talk about Shopify and how entrepreneurs can be able to strategize their business even through this type of e-commerce.
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge fan of Shopify. As somebody that works a lot with entrepreneurs and, people that are kind of bootstrapping their businesses, I think Shopify is a really great resource for product-based businesses. So not necessarily it has some great features, but I think it's a little bit overkill for, either coaches or consultants. But if you have a product-based business, the Shopify suite of features is a really, really, really good thing. And so, in terms of having everything all in one place. So, yes, you can upload your products. Yes, you could do product descriptions. Yes, you could do, pop-ups and all the things that kind of go along with a website. But built into the Shopify dashboard and included in your, $39 subscription for the basic level is email marketing. Like, you could send out thousands of emails a month, which is just crazy because email marketing by itself is usually a subscription. So for that to be included with Shopify is just nuts. And then direct integration with things like the Google Merchant Center, with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Pinterest, just one click to have all of that in one place just makes it so much easier from a business owner perspective, instead of clicking back and forth with these platforms and worrying about them talking to each other and worrying about those connections kind of falling apart. I think Shopify makes it super easy for people who are new to e-commerce and new to entrepreneurship to get started and to be successful without spending a ton of money. So I'm a huge fan of Shopify. Still, Shopify is how I got into e-commerce. Shopify is still one of my most popular recommendations for new entrepreneurs, especially people that kind of make their own products or they have really small stores.
Correct. So kind of contrast for us between the difference between Shopify and then, of course, with WordPress. So with WordPress, and that's, a product that we use as well for, visibility and and profiling as well. It's a very, very wonderful tool. It's a lot that you can be able to plug into, and also users have to be kind of a little cautious as well because you want to make sure that when you're on WordPress and you're, downloading these plugins or uploading these plugins to your database, you have to make sure that they have been verified. And so when I first was working with that, I'm like, wait a minute, okay. And so then they, you get a message where they be sending out information as to, perhaps maybe sites have been compromised. Until I have to learn a little bit different in regards to that. So what I want you to explain to the listeners is how to contrast between the both of the two, because, WooCommerce, you can be able to access that on WordPress as well. And so we have a lot of WordPress users, and then we have a lot of Shopify users. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. And so WordPress and Shopify are different platforms. So Shopify is a paid subscription platform that is kind of self-contained. So all of the plugins that work with Shopify sites they have to be approved by Shopify and verified, and they go through pretty rigorous kind of standards before that they can even be added to the Shopify App Store. Alternately, so as a contrast, WordPress is an open source platform. So the good thing about it is that means that, WordPress is free. Like, you can get WordPress, you can add it to your website for no charge for a self-hosted website. And there are people, like any developer. I could, as a developer, create an app or a plugin that works with a WordPress site, and I could add it to the WordPress marketplace because it's open source. They make their code readily available. I can go download their source code and build a plugin, build a theme, build an app on top of that. And to your point, WooCommerce is kind of the e-commerce arm of WordPress websites. And again, it's free. So instead of paying the $39 base subscription for Shopify, you don't necessarily have to pay for the subscription. You usually have to pay for your own hosting, which is like maybe $5 or $10 a month if you start with some very basic hosting. So definitely from a price perspective, open source, WordPress, WooCommerce is definitely lower cost. However, to your point, the technical learning curve is a lot higher for generally open source products, but specifically for WordPress and WooCommerce. And the challenge I've seen sometimes is that because different developers can create different apps and plugins and themes, but they don't necessarily have to work with each other, is that WordPress websites, sometimes when updates are happening, either with WordPress as a platform or with the individual plugins and themes on WordPress, when updates happen there's compatibility issues, and so sometimes those sites do go down. If you spend a lot of time in WordPress like I do, there are ways that you can protect against that, like backing up your site frequently would be one of those ways. There are also kind of redundancies that you can build in case for some reason your site gets hacked or you lose access to it. So there are ways that you can kind of mitigate that. However, the learning curve for that, especially if you're brand new to websites, can be absolutely overwhelming. So when I work with people who are brand new to websites and haven't started yet, and they're talking about WordPress, like there are so many words of caution that I offer up there to say, okay, just so we understand exactly how much work is going to be involved here with the monitoring, with the updates, with the backup. Yeah. So I'm not discouraging it, just because I understand from a budget perspective, you can get a lot of bang for your buck with WordPress, but you will definitely trade off time and energy and resources, kind of keeping the site running in exchange for that. And as long as you're okay with that, and as long as you're kind of okay learning a little bit of technical stuff, I think WordPress is a great platform.
Absolutely. Because with the WordPress, as you stated, it has a lot that's incorporated with it all by itself, the .org and the .com, and so sometimes individuals will hire professionals such as yourself to build their sites. And I remember back here about 5 years ago, I think it was, Kathryn, when someone had asked me to build a site for them. And you have to be strategic as to making sure that you get all of your details and everything up front. And after I got through with her or she got through with me, I'm like, look, lady, take all of it back. You can have the whole entire thing back because it comes with a lot of sweat and tears, sweat equity, and especially if someone has hired you as a professional, sometimes the individual is not totally satisfied. And I don't think I was really charging. I think it was a big discount that I had gave this individual because they were a student and they were trying to get the website up just for a grade. And I'm like, lady, take this $600 back. Bye, goodbye. Just take this. You go, because it was just so much. It was so much you have to, and then there's certain ways, and especially if the person has never ever built a site before. How do you know it's supposed? That's the reason why you hired me, the expert. I'm trying to show you the way it's supposed to look and how it's supposed to appear, and I'm putting the data, the information, the content. I'm putting in the loading up files. I'm doing all of these things so that that your professor can be able to see that you have a clean, crisp site. So at the end of the day, I'm like, no, you take this $600, you can have it back. You eat it. I'm serious. I was so done with her. And so entrepreneurs need to understand as to what they're getting, the purpose of the reason why that they're selecting, whether it's, and some individuals may want both, Shopify and, WordPress as well. So, yeah, so thank you for so much for sharing that. So now talk to us a little bit about the Black Lady Business School as a professional organization, and why do you, refer to it as a business school? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah. So Black Lady Business School was born out of my co-founder and I. My co-founder, Tamay Shannon, and I, we're both kind of in the marketing space. So obviously I'm in the website space, and she does social media marketing. And we met on a networking platform at some point during the pandemic, and we were doing just marketing workshops together where we would do, like, how to do marketing campaigns for Black Friday, or, how to do Q3 planning for marketing and things like that. And so while we were putting together marketing workshops, we would say, we acknowledge that success for small businesses extends beyond marketing. So marketing is absolutely a very, very, very important part of promoting and advertising your business, but it doesn't solve, fundamental problems with the structure of your business. So, if you don't have a budget, or if you're terrible with numbers, marketing is not going to solve that. It will arguably make it worse, So we saw that marketing couldn't solve all business problems, but we absolutely wanted to create a community or create an environment for businesses, for specifically Black women-owned businesses, to be successful. And so, we had people in our networks that are brilliant people that do all kinds of things, from IP attorneys and, people who can help form businesses, and people that can do taxes and accounting. And we wanted to leverage that community and also build economies of scale. So this was during the pandemic, when it was difficult for small businesses to even get supplies. They couldn't get bottles and packets and raw materials and mailing containers for their products because they were kind of low priority compared to the Amazons and the Walmarts. And so, we thought that leveraging economies of scale, or getting people together, to pool their resources and make larger orders, would kind of help with the priority so that people could keep their businesses running during the pandemic. And so the concept behind Black Lady Business School was to create the business school experience and access and network without the cost or the time commitment. Because I went to business school. I don't necessarily think everybody needs to go to business school, especially to be an entrepreneur. But I do recognize that there are incredibly valuable things that came out of my business school experience. One of them being the networking, and one of them being the broad knowledge of how to operate a business. So I know a little bit about finance and accounting, and I know a little bit about marketing and operations and fulfillment, and a little bit about consulting and entrepreneurship. And so I have a foundation in business, which really just helps me make really good business decisions for my business, but not everybody's been to business school. And honestly, we didn't think that everybody needed to go to business school. So we were trying to recreate the network, recreate the important aspects of that fundamental business education, without having to have people commit to 2 or 3 years or 4 years in school and or thousands of dollars. So Black Lady Business School operates in Atlanta right now, just because we really want to help our local community, and there's so many people here in Atlanta. So many people.
Right, that's right.
So we have networking events, and right now we're building out an instructor program in order to create kind of an online library of self-service content that people can use to learn about those fundamentals of business and grow their business that way. And of course, we're still having we're having in-person networking events here, and then also we have some things planned online for networking events as well. So it is available to the larger community. It's made for, by, and around the experience of Black women, but it's not exclusive. So a lot of our instructors come from the broader business community, so they are men or they are not Black. We realize that expertise is expertise, and we wouldn't want to, as my parents would say, block our blessings by ruling out, the expertise there. So we're an inclusive organization, and really just around lowering barriers to success for Black women-owned businesses here in Atlanta, through education, through networking, and through community.
Right, right. That is so awesome. So now the next question is going to be something that I really am interested in hearing your response from, because
Okay.
a lot of times individuals will use blogs, and it's in regarding to websites. A lot of individuals, they use blogs. Blogs are strong. They allow the public to be able to see as to what their products and brands and services are about. But many times, if you are trying to reach a broader topic, if you're trying to get try to get registered on platforms, especially if you're trying to get registered in memberships, if you're trying to get registered even for government agency platforms and what have you, you're going to need a website. You know, a lot of times people will run straight to the website to be able to see exactly what you're all about. Like I stated, the blog site, yeah, it's good and what have you, but I think the website is, and which, you know, WordPress does offer those services and things too. But, you know, I tell individuals, I try to, who will listen, in regards to website building. It is very, very important to have. Don't come in here with this .net. Have a .com. And even if you're building a brand about yourself. But I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to allow you to answer that question. How important it is that a business need a website.
Oh, man, that's a great question. That is a great question, and the question that I find myself answering a lot. Like, everything is online, but we're still making the case for websites. And I think, you know, a lot of people understand how much work does go into building and maintaining a website, and so they're thinking, you know what, there's so many platforms out here, like, I don't even need to build my own website. But there's still a compelling case for having a website. And I put it this way. So a website is like having a house. It is a place that is yours. It is a place where you can kind of set up shop and, you know, tailor and customize to, you know, fit your aesthetic, to your comfort, and for you to, like, put all your stuff in one place. And I think that's a good kind of analogy. However, I also want to add to that if you do not have a website, so if you don't have a home base, like if you don't have a piece of real estate internet real estate that you own, then if those platforms go away, like, so, you know, if I had put all my stuff in MySpace, if MySpace went the way of, you know, MySpace, then all my stuff would be gone, you know, so for some reason Pinterest ceases to exist, Facebook or Instagram ceases to exist, or people just don't feel like scrolling back through 6 years of posts, you know, that content doesn't really exist anymore. And so if you don't tell your story, the internet will tell a story for you. You know, most of these businesses that are out here, you know, you can Google people who don't have websites, and you will still find search results about them, but they just don't get to tell the story in the way that they want the story told. That's when they're relying on other platforms and other people to tell the story, and a lot of time bots are doing it. So if you Google somebody, it's very rare that nothing will show up. So even if you don't have a website, it's very rare that nothing will show up about a business. It may just be bot-generated results, or it may be other businesses talking about your business. And so the number one thing, the number one like benefit or advantage of having your own website is that you get to tell that story. So if you want people to know you first and foremost as a public speaker, and then as a e-commerce store owner, you get to tell that story on a website, you know, as opposed to just kind of letting the dice roll and letting the search engines determine what kind of search results show up for you. So my number one biggest push and encouragement of having your own website, even if it's a one-page landing page, is that you get to tell that story. You get to provide that information and hopefully, you know, be one of the top search results when people Google your name. So that's my number one compelling use case. And I think there are ways to do that and still primarily operate on other platforms. I know that platforms like Substack and Medium and like Patreon and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok make it really easy for you to create content on those platforms and distribute content on those platforms. But I think there are ways that you can still have those as platforms and either mirror that content on your website or, you know, follow that up with content that is on your website or on your landing page. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but I definitely definitely think having a slice of internet real estate that you own, that you use to tell your story in the way that you want others to know about it is incredibly important, even now, where other platforms are doing this, providing like the whole full shebang as a service.
Absolutely, and Kathryn, I guess I wanted to say too and add to that. I think one of the biggest fulfillments that I get out of doing my own websites is what I stated before. I get an opportunity to modify, add, change, delete, and as you stated, I think that the person's visibility is still going to be there whether they have a website or not. I do agree with that. They have so much that's how people can collect data and information from other individuals that they're going to get on, and so it's another platform that's called Alexa, if I'm not mistaken. So it does a data tracking as to your statistics, how many people visit your site and what have you. And just be honest, some individuals, they will not, they will rate a website based off of what Alexa says. And so if you're not on that top ranking on that Alexa platform, they're like, oh, no. And so I think visibility is very, very important. I do believe, I do agree with you saying that sometimes whether you have a website or not, they're still going to find you. And but sometimes that's something that I just always have started out with. We have blogs and what have you, but I started out with the website, and the website has been going since 2010, and I just enjoy interacting with the website, even though it won't talk back to me. But I just enjoy having that feature to be able to impact on top and monetize and be able to interact with the public sector even through the website. So I think that is very, very important. So with the last question, of course, we want you to be able to share with the listeners how they can be able to get in contact with you, if you want them to follow you on any social media platforms, or if you have a book that you have published or books that you have published, you can be able to share where they can be able to find them, and as to how they can be able to follow you after the show. If you have any upcoming speaking gigs that you are featuring, such as masterclass, you can be able to do that at this time.
Sure. So my business, Walton Birch, is online. Just waltonbirch.com. That's WaltonBirch.com. So that's how you can find me. Walton Birch, I am working on so much stuff for Walton Birch, but that's also how you can find any upcoming classes, speaking engagements, and really just how to work with Walton Birch specifically. As you mentioned, I'm also the co-founder of the Black Lady Business School. So Black Lady Business School is also online, and that is just blackladybiz.com. So BLACKLADYBIZ.com. And all of our social media links are there as well. I really wish that I could publish a book. I really admire people that are able to do that. So maybe one day, but for the time being, those are the places where you can find me and all of the stuff that we have going on, both for Walton Birch and Black Lady Business School.
Oh, that is so awesome. Thank you so much for being with us as a guest in the studio today, Kathryn. I'm pretty sure that you will have enough nuggets to be able to publish that first business tech book. I'm pretty sure it's coming. That is so much that you have so much to be able to offer women of color, diversity, women in the workplace. Those are doors right there, opportunities. On a corporate level, you have so much to offer, especially engaging with the school that you have. And so I think that is so very fascinating what you have that you have to share with the world. So thank you so much once again for being with us on today. Everyone, this concludes our last show and episode of Women Who Rock with Success Media, and we'll see you next Thursday once again at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Kathryn, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.